Okay, welcome. Hello, everyone. My name is Kemi Anjurihu. I'm a community outreach caseworker at Unison Elder Abuse Shelter. And today we're going to be talking on a topic that is very sensitive, and that is family violence. And we're talking on this topic just to create an awareness because the month of November is recognized as the Family Violence Month, Family Violence Awareness Month. And today I have with me a senior counsel at Shim Law by the name Giva Balasingam. Giva is going to talk more on our area of expertise and how many years of experience she's had in the, law firm, looking at different cases when it comes to family violence. And she's going to be talking to us today on the perspective of the Canadian law and provincial perspective when it comes to family violence, so that people are, informed, they stay informed, they know how to proceed, and they're well supported if they are experiencing family violence or they see someone experiencing family violence. So, Giver, over to you.
Thank you, Kemi. Thank you so much. Just to let everyone know, my name is Giva Balasingam, and I am a senior counsel with Shim Law, and I basically do litigation. We are 70% litigation firm, but we do have other areas of practice in our firm. And I do basically family litigation, and I also do civil corporate litigation. It is a very interesting topic, domestic violence, because today, domestic violence is prevalent in many ethnic community, but how do we identify if it is actually domestic violence? Because some groups of people, to them, they think that that is the way of life day in, day out, but then actually it might not be the case. It could be actually domestic violence. So it's very good that this month is domestic violence, and Kirby, I have to thank Kirby for hosting this program whereby they're trying to advocate and, share justice with the locals or with the residents of this province. Now, when it comes to domestic violence, it can fall under the criminal code, and that's a federal. And so you can go under assault. That could be physical assault. It can also be manipulative assault by words. So that is very interesting to how one would identify what is being thrown at them. Is it an assault, especially when it comes with words, like someone manipulating you? So it would be good to actually attend some kind of a seminar to understand, because there are many, many ways of manipulating someone and also assaulting that person in that form, but the other person might not think that it is an assault. Then there's, of course, the sexual assault aspect. There is uttering threats. Now, if I verbally utter threats, which are common terminologies used in one's, say, an inappropriate word. I'm not going to be saying the word, but I'll just use the word inappropriate word. People can say, oh, yes, that is uttering threats. But then some words don't seem at the forefront as uttering threats, but actually they are in a disguised form. So that is also important to note. And then, of course, there's the criminal harassment. There is the confinement, like some seniors. They're confined in their house by loved ones or even caregivers. Now, that is a criminal offense, because there is you're restricting one's movement, from going out, from actually trying to get any assistance or help. Then, of course, there is damage to property that falls. Some people just to create a fear element in one person. They might want to damage the property. And if you're a senior or someone who is in a vulnerable position, even not a senior, you would take that as, oh, I'm not supposed to say anything because if not, they're going to come and damage the property, the very property I have. And that's the only property I have to whether live in or, to move around with. So that's on the criminal aspect. We also have on the protection aspect, and that is we have the victim impact support system. So if you are one of the members of the public who have been victimized or even threatened with domestic violence, you can always go to this victim support group, and they will be able to help you. They will be able to connect you with the Crown, and they will be able to assist you in filing a claim against the other party, the abuser, the aggressor. And if that happens, then the Crown will take over and they will assess the information and they will proceed to place a charge. And then you will go through the court system, and then the person, if there is sufficient evidence, the person will be convicted. Now, the person can go either via peace bond or they are supposed to be restrained from being anywhere near you within a certain radius. So that is something to protect you too. Now, there are also other forms of protection. For example, you can actually go to the civil court and you can file a restraining order. Or you can file a emergency protection order because you feel that you are being threatened or your safety is of a concern. Okay, safety is paramount. So if there is a safety concern, then you would want to maybe consider taking an emergency protection order or even a restraining order. Now, if you are a senior and you say, you know what, I can't afford a counsel to do an emergency protection order. Well, let me tell you, legal aid provides counsels for emergency protection review hearing, and it is free. You don't have to pay a single cent. It's only when you have to go for trial, then you can go through legal aid, but you might have to maybe pay a small amount. But the review hearing, it's free. So please use that services because it is there for you. When it comes to the restraining order, if you are of low income, or if, let's say, you are a minor, you can actually use legal aid to get a restraining order. But that you might have to pay a small fraction, but that is something we can always speak to legal aid and see what they can come up with. But that is something available to the public to protect their safety. And it's only applied if it is an emergency. And that's why they call it emergency protection order, not because the person has been abusing you for 3-4 years and finally you decided, okay, I am going to
take action.
Take an EPO. You might want to consider taking out a restraining order. Okay, and the courts will look at it because the courts are very particular about people's safety, and so they will try and get the matter resolved as soon as possible. All right. Now,
thank you, Giva.
That's one. Now, there is also, like, some people will turn around and say, hey, I really don't know whether I've been assaulted or I've been abused, whether I actually underwent domestic violence. Now, because some people have been living through this domestic violence to a point that they think that that is part and parcel of living. That is how one lives, because they might have come from a young age from a family or a nucleus where domestic violence was always there. So they think that this is how one lives. Now, and then there is the trauma aspect of a person who is a victim of domestic violence. And what's the trauma effect? They tend to shut down. They tend to just block everything. They tend not to remember anything because they don't want to. And that's a trauma. And so when someone says, you're going through domestic violence, no, I'm not.
Mm.
Because they don't know what it is. And so these are the people who need help. They need to go for counseling to be able to identify what they are going through. Is it domestic violence? And if so, how they can come out of it.
Mm.
And by them coming out of it, what I normally would tell my clients whenever they have a domestic issue, I say, you need to go for counseling. The legal aspect is there, but you need to go for counseling. And then we can cater. Person is going for legal counseling. Person is going for counseling, and she's able to identify all that has been happening, and that will help us to build a stronger case in court. And this happens a lot, especially in family cases. And so it can also happen when, for example, if you have children, okay, the other would create some kind of a threat or, manipulation just so that you don't have custody and access to your children. That is one aspect. Now, you might come and ask me, but what about seniors? I mean, maybe that is for young people, but what about seniors? Well, if you're a senior and you have a home, they could manipulate you so that you don't have exclusive possession of your property. And they will remove that, and they will remove that element of you having exclusive possession of your property. And so you have no control of your life. And so you will say, okay, so what do I do? I'm going to be homeless. No, you can go to a shelter for the moment, but then with the right guidance and with legal assistance, the courts have many resources. They have mediation, which is free in the courthouse, and you can use that services. And then if that service is not, if that service is useful, they will refer the matter to the court and grant a court order for you. There are duty counsels in court who will be there to assist you. But if you can afford counsel, then by all means, you can use counsel and you can actually fight to get back your property as exclusive possession. You can say, oh, but the property is in my name and my son's name. Well, we don't know. Maybe I'm just using the word son. It could be son, it could be daughter, it could be your partner's name, oh, but it's in both our names. Then what happens? So then we will have to look at the situation, the scenario to see, oh, okay, so there has been domestic violence and you are booted out. Now we need you to either move in back or we need the place to be sold and then parties to take whatever is whatever proportion of the value of the house, and then we will try with your caseworker help you find another place for you to move. Sometimes, in some cases, people do not want to sell their house because that's the house they lived in, like seniors. So, and they're comfortable, right? So then what we will suggest is the other party, the abuser, if it is a family member, they have to go seek counseling, get help so that this whole exercise is not repeated again. I mean, we don't want our family members to be thrown out in the streets. So we would want them to get help. So that is another option. So it's not everything about cut and dry, we go our separate ways. There are resources out there that can actually help people to get back together. But both the parties need to work on it. And that's why I would say that there are many ways one can, like say, for example, if you're in a domestic violence and you need time out,
Mm,
We always say, I need my space, I need
mm,
time out. Well, we can always have a clause in an agreement, a non-communication clause for the moment, so that you have your space, your time, and you're going to try and think over it with the assistance and help and counseling. You will know where you should be at, and so would the other person. And that's why we'll have this non-communicational clause, so that both parties go and get help. And then subsequently, if they think, yes, we can work together, we can be in the same room together, and there's not going to be an issue, fine. But if not, then at least you know. The most important thing is, a lot of us who go through domestic violence, they tend to shut off.
yeah.
And that is the sad bit, because they don't know who to trust. They don't know how to talk. They don't know how to tell their feelings, because they think that people will think that I'm overreacting. I
Mm,
am over, I am just imagining things. No. So that's why, for domestic violence, or any form of violence, family violence,
mm.
domestic violence, or even caregivers for that matter, they these people need help, and that counseling is a very important component when it comes to helping these people. The law, as lawyers, we can, yes, comply with the law, we can apply the law, and we can, draft out the clauses, the agreement, we can argue out your case for you, but you cannot forego the fact that you need counseling.
Thank you so much for that very valid point. Really appreciate that, Giva. And I wanted to ask a question regarding, okay, you mentioned at the beginning, you talked about several criminal codes that corresponds to different aspects of domestic violence. As we know, family violence is a broad term. And under family violence, you have child abuse, you have intimate partner abuse, you have domestic violence, you have elder abuse too. So how would, I mean, depending on which type of family violence the individual is either experiencing or witnessing, how would someone approach, resources, legal resources from, from the angle of, I don't know where to turn to. Should I go to the police? Will the police guide me on how to tackle this from the legal perspective? Or I just pick up the phone and call 811 and be like, hey, 911, I'm experiencing abuse. I need a lawyer. I need help. How would someone that doesn't have a clue on how to, you know, get into the legal system or legal support, how will they tackle this?
That's a very important question, because a lot of people, as you said, they don't know where to start or how to get help. Now, if they are in a community, living in a community-based environment, they can always reach out to the community leaders and ask them, I'm experiencing something like this. I need to speak to someone in confidence. And the community leaders can actually refer them. That is one aspect. Now, every community association, it's just not for fun having a community association. You can also go to any of the religious-based community, whereby, if, let's say, if you belong to a certain religious faith group, they will have resource centers affiliated to, and they can actually refer you to those. Now, if you say, look, I am an atheist, I don't believe in any religion, then what do I do? I don't even know who my community leaders are. Then what do I do? Well, you can always call. You can call in and you can say the non-emergency line, unless you are actually experiencing domestic violence at that moment, then please call the emergency line. If not, you can call the non-emergency line and you can say, is there anybody is there any number you can give me that I can speak to a person and see whether I can get any assistance. And so they will refer you to those numbers or people to call. Now you can, if you have to leave the premise and if you have to move into the shelter itself has a caseworker, and the caseworker will look into your file and will guide you and say, okay, I think you can refer to this counselor for counseling. Or if you need an accommodation, they will try and work to see whether you can move to an accommodation where it can also assist you if you have handicap issues or any other medical issues. Now, normally, you can only, if you do move to the shelter, you can only stay for a certain period of time at the shelter because there are other people they need to accommodate. They can't keep you forever there. But what they can do is the caseworker can work with you and try and find you a place where you can move to. Now, that doesn't mean that if they move you to a place, they just leave you like that. You will be assigned a caseworker. And if it comes to monetary finance, yes, the income support group will also help you. And the caseworker will have a whole list of resources to tell you. So that is one aspect. Now, this is not only in Alberta province, but it is across the board. It's just that different province, their wait time and their system is slightly different from the other because of the legislation. Like criminal, it's federal, so it's across the board. But when it comes to, say, emergency protection order or a restraining order or even a family court, if you have to go to a family court or such, or even elder abuse, okay, it varies based on the different province. So it's not one fit all. We don't have a cookie cutter that actually says one fit all. So it does vary to some aspect, not completely, but to some aspect it does. So to your question, how the best is to call the non-emergency line, number one. And if you have any community that you belong to, then you might want to reach out to them. Now, I always tell my clients, it's good to have a support network system. Be it your friends, be it your relatives, it's good to build a support system so that at least you can go to them and they can help you with the issue, and they can also be your support system when you meet a caseworker and they say, yes, we are there, we noticed, or we heard about it, and we are here to support her or him, but then we need the resource help to get them to a place where they can be safe. It doesn't mean a support system means, you come live with them. No, it doesn't have to be. It's just that they are there for you when you pick up the phone and when you speak to them, and how they can assist you in trying to get those help too.
Okay. Thank you so much, Giva. The last question I have, it's directed at the review hearing where you said you can access support through legal aid, that it's free. So is that free for everyone or is it income-based?
No, it's okay. If you want help from legal aid for family matters, it is based normally on income earned, and they have a cap. But when it comes to EPO review hearing, because, okay, I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm the claimant and I went to court and to the provincial court and I file an application to say I want an emergency protection order because my safety, I'm concerned for my safety. The justice will hear my case and the justice will grant an EPO order, and then she will transfer that file to the King's bench. And so they will say, okay, this order is valid for the next 3 weeks. So for the next 3 weeks, the respondent or the abuser cannot approach me or cannot speak to me or cannot do anything to me because I have an order to protect my safety.
Okay.
And then in 3 weeks' time, I will have to go to the Court of King's Bench and that's called the review hearing. Now, whether be it the respondent or whether be it the claimant, it is free across the board for legal aid to provide duty counsels
Okay.
to assist in the review hearing. So when I went to the provincial court and I gave my story and I got the EPO, whatever I said in court is recorded and it comes out in a form of a transcript. That transcript, the respondent and the claimant both can actually go and request the court to give them a copy of the transcript. And then based on the transcript, the respondent will have to do an affidavit to reply to the transcript. And in doing so, he can go to legal aid and say, look, I've got this EPO that was issued against me. I need counsel. Can you help me get a counsel? They will assign you a duty counsel and the respondent doesn't have to pay. He can be the CFO or the CEO of a company. He will still get duty counsel and it's free.
Okay. Okay.
It's only, so that's at the review hearing stage where they prepare the affidavit and they put it across, and parties sometimes will resolve it during that stage. Either they will say, okay, I agree to a mutual no contact, or okay, I'm going to withdraw the EPO, or, okay, I agree to the EPO, and they leave it as that. You don't have to go for trial. But if, let's say, the claimant and the respondent both decide to fight and say that, the claimant says, I want the EPO, and the respondent says, no, I don't want the EPO. And when they want to go for trial, and at that time, if they approach legal aid will ask for their income. And if their income is higher, legal aid say, I'm sorry, I'm unable to give you a duty counsel for that, for the trial aspect. And the person who is within the income bracket, legal aid will give a counsel to assist the person for the trial, but that they would have to pay a fee to legal aid. But the review hearing is free.
Thank you so much for clarifying that, Giva. Thank you so much. So we've come to the end of our discussion session, and I hope that all the information that Giva has been so gracious to provide will be helpful to each and everyone that are either experiencing or witnessing anyone experiencing any form of family violence. So the watchword out there, be safe. Don't keep quiet. Don't be a bystander. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Bye for now.
Thank you, Kemi.